I'm here with Rob Hoatson in your Western Cape castle, as it were. We're both from the same area, originally anyway. You still have a business in Normandy, i.e. close to Newcastle.
Yes.
But today you've taken a few of us around your plant, your water bottling plant here in Tulbagh.
Yes.
So you now got two huge plants. You were saying in the conversation, it's the 300 million rand investment.
Yes. Look, we've tried to build a world-class facility here, and I think it's got to serve us for many, many years, and it's got to produce the right product at the right price and at the right quality. And so we've tried to not pull out any stops to build something that's going to last.
And it's THIRSTI, of course. I don't know if you noticed, but we're both wearing Pringle. Bernard Moss is going to be so excited to see that the two of us are,
Yes.
advertising his brand. Hey, there we go, Bernard. Anyway, let's catch up on what you've been up to since the BizNews conference. We had a fabulous nightcap chat
Yes, it was
in March,
amazing.
just
Yeah.
April, May, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were recovering from that crazy attack on your Normandy operation.
Yes.
From parliamentarians, members of the Labour Department, police with automatic rifles. I mean, just like crazy stuff. And you said you would be reacting to it.
Yes.
What exactly has happened?
Oh, so obviously everything that we said we would do, we have done. Charges were laid, the cases were opened. It took us quite a lot of time to get a meeting with the senior management of the Department of Labour, Pretoria, which we were able to achieve. It's, however, hasn't been to try and get a level of accountability in those departments is extremely difficult. To try and get an acknowledgement that, listen, that was wrong, and we're not going to, we really don't want to be conducting ourselves like that, is almost impossible. And so there was some very high-level meetings held with them, and they were not fruitful, and they didn't really.
There was no sorry. Sorry, we were wrong.
There was absolutely no acknowledgement or sorry we were wrong, or that was unacceptable, or it shouldn't have gone down like that. It was more to the contrary, that listen, we're within our rights to do that, and that's what we will do. And but I do get a feeling that there has been, that they have taken serious note of it, and that they have felt the pushback, and I don't think we'll be seeing a visit on that level and on that scale in the foreseeable future. That's my gut feel.
Well, that's a relief for many other business people, because when you look at what happened there, the immediate reaction from a business person is, well, why bother in South Africa? Why not just invest in another country where you won't have these goons arriving at your plant when they want to look for an excuse because one of their number maybe doesn't like you or like what you stand for, etc. Yeah. But you stand for something. I think that's really the big thing here. Rob Hoatson, THIRSTI, the Hoatson family, you guys have positioned yourself as ons vat nie kak nie.
Alec, we have, because unfortunately if you don't stand up and you don't push back against the stuff, you simply get washed away in the tide. And we are very proud South Africans. We love our country. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. And we also, like everybody else, we stand and hope for a better country. But we can't just hope. We've actually got to do something about it. And so what happened was unfortunate. But what's more important is that if you don't agree with something, you've got to stand up. You've got to push back. It is easier for us as a private business to do that. You know, if you're a public business and you've got shareholders and it becomes infinitely more complicated. Obviously, we also, there is a fine line in terms of standing up for what's good and true and right. And what's been most pleasing to note is how many people have supported that stand, how many people have seen that and spoken to us, emailed us, called us to say, geez guys, well done, you give us hope. You know, we all need to do that. That's the way to deal with these things. There seems to be a fundamental shift in South Africans where instead of accepting whatever has been dished up in the past, guys have had enough, and guys are just saying what's fair and right and true we go with, and what's not we object violently to it.
It's so interesting that, because it's almost like, I get the same feeling as well. It's like a wave that enough abuse, thank you very much. The cadres who've been deployed. Yeah, and now it's changed. So well done to you. I remember Rob Hoatson 5 years ago standing up at a BizNews conference saying Futsak ANC, saying things that were sacrilege to the business community at the time. Today, the same business community who were criticizing Hoatson are saying, you know, we actually agree with him, but just we have shareholders, so we can't do it that way. And I guess it was always going to take someone like you, a family business, to put that line in the sand. But are you seeing that things are going to change in the future? You're a proud South African, you've said. You've invested 300 million rand in this plant that we'll talk about in a moment here in the Western Cape. But what makes you happy enough to do that, to keep make your investments here, keep your money here, rather than, as with many South Africans, take it offshore?
Alec, we're always in a situation in our business where we're not short of opportunity. The opportunities in South Africa are enormous. Our situation is not that we're looking for opportunity. Our situation is that we have so much opportunity, we've just got to pick those opportunities that work best for us. So number one, there is opportunity. We have a big market, we have a growing market, but our question always is, what is the alternative? Do you want to go and live in the UK? Do you want to go and live in Europe? No, we don't. We are proud South Africans. We were born here, we grew up here, and this is where we've chosen to make our lives, and we're going to do everything that we can to make this country better. And there's many ways to do that. In our business, we feel like providing employment in the rural areas is a great way to add value. Creating these agri-industrial businesses.
How many people do you employ?
In total, well over 3,000 across the business. In the THIRSTI business now, we've got about 700 people.
In total, well over 3,000. For context, the disaster that's hit Newcastle, our hometown, is going to take 3,500 jobs away. So it almost, the one balances the other, and you would think that the effort that government has gone to try and save an unsavable situation at ArcelorMittal would at least cut you some slack. Do they not know how many people you employ?
They do. They're well aware of it. Our challenge always is with this, when we deal with and we have these conversations, is to get the guys to join the dots. You know, our policies in South Africa, to understand cause and effect. Guys, if you make these policies, this is what the outflow is going to be. I mean, we know how much money companies in South Africa are sitting on and not investing. Can you imagine if that capital was productively deployed, what it would do to our local economy, what growth would look like, what job creation would look like? But it's not, because the policies are wrong. And when the policy changes, then the behavior of those people that invest the capital will change immediately as well.
Healthcare matters, but what matters most?
Having cover for the people who keep this business going.
Bonitas is there for you when it counts. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. Visit bonitas.co.za and find your plan.
Part of the reason that you brought some media people here in the last day or so was to explain what is happening with counterfeit water. And we're going to talk about that in a moment. But THIRSTI itself, you seem to be on a bit of a mission. You've started producing ice now at Woolworths. How's that been going?
It's interesting. Yeah, we started, again, we have a long-term strategic partnership with Woolworths. We produce a lot of beverages for them, probably more than 100 products as their sole national supplier. They're a great business to work with. We've worked with them for many years. And Woolworths looks after their suppliers, and that when there's new opportunities that come, they take them to their existing suppliers first. And so they brought us the ice opportunity 18 or so months ago, and we decided to just do it on a very small scale and trial it in a few stores, and it went really, really well. We've created a differentiated product, so it's not just ice from some tap. It's spring water ice. It's in a very specific pack with a resealable bag. It's, you know, we're using a lot of Italian technology to make this ice, and the trial went really, really well. And so we've on the process of rolling it out across the Woolworths business, and we've built a dedicated facility to actually manufacture and supply this ice as part of the rest of our group.
The fact that Woolies came to you in the first place would suggest that you've got other businesses with them.
Yeah, so we do a lot of beverages to Woolworths, as I mentioned. The Woolies water nationally comes from us, the flavoured water, the soft drinks, all the mixes. And on our agric side, some of our, through their abattoirs and processing, but we supply them beef, and we supply them lamb through our Karoo farming operations as well. So it's a very important relationship that we've had for many, many years, and we value it greatly.
Now, what you've said now is fairly unpopular, I would suggest, amongst South Africans at the moment, given the PR that's been going around the chuckles or the chocolates that were taken off.
Yeah, you know, I can't speak for Bayer's chocolates and their experience, but I can only share my experience with Woolworths, and it's been nothing like that. It's been quite the opposite, to be honest.
What do you think went wrong with Bayer's? You supply Woolies, they supplied Woolies. Suddenly they were no longer supplying Woolies, which could it happen to you?
So, again, my perspective, we have our own brand, and then we do the Woolies private label, or the house brand, or you know.
So Woolworths water
Correct.
has got no THIRSTI on it. It's Woolworths water,
it's
but
Woolworths
you supply
water,
it.
But we produce it for them to their standard, on behalf of them, and supply it to them. My understanding is that Woolworths doesn't have a problem if companies have their own brands, and so we do. We have our THIRSTI brand, and then we do all of the Woolies work nationally. What Woolworths is not a fan of is when their private label suppliers produce private label for other retailers, because there's a lot of IP in what Woolworths do, and so that is an issue, and understandably so. And so before you even engage with them, they will say, guys, this is the basis on which we're going to work. Are you happy with it? Yes, and away you go. Our relationship with Woolworths is 11, 12 years deep, and that's been our understanding from day one. And we've honoured that, and they've honoured it back, and so the relationship has worked.
It seems to make sense, Rob. I don't know too much about I don't know Mr. Bayers or his business,
Yeah.
but if you're doing a private label for the one retailer, surely you can't expect to do a private label for another retailer. It just doesn't make sense. Was that really the nub of it, or might there be more
My
to it?
understanding is that was the nub of it.
Wow.
And so rather than do multiple private labels, do a single private label, and then drive your own brands.
Pick your horse. Yeah, be the jockey there. Anyway, so Woolies, as far as you're concerned, are good. How strict are they on checking that the water that you're producing isn't going to make anybody sick?
Alec, the standards that Woolworths expect are incredibly high. They have developed massive technical skill internally in their business. We've been working with them for many years, so they make sure, in conjunction with you, that you meet the standards. They're great people to work with.
How many scientists, for instance, do they have that would check things out?
I stand corrected, but I think Woolworths has got about 120 to 140 food technologists in their business, which is probably 110 more than anyone else in South Africa. in an equivalent business.
Sure.
They
So they put a lot of effort on that.
and that's why they want to protect it. And you can understand that if they making that investment in product, in recipes, in RP, there's a level of protection that they want.
The ice story,
Yes.
did that require investment? Because clearly what you're doing is you're taking the water from the Drakensberg,
Yes.
in this sense, and icing it somehow. How do you get the water there to your plant?
So cold chain distribution is always much more expensive than ambient distribution. And so we truck the water from its mountain source to an ice plant.
You truck it, you put into
Yes,
trucks
and
and drive them on the
we tanker
N3.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
We tanker it about 300 kilometers.
Why don't you rail it?
Well, when last did you try and put something on rail?
Sorry, I had to ask.
No, look, we would love to use rail, but there is no real reliable rail service in this country. We used to use rail quite a lot, especially in our timber business. It's just not a viable option any longer.
So now you truck the water from from Normandie, the
Correct.
Drakensberg, and up to Gauteng.
We truck it to Gauteng, where it's received into a facility, and we manage the stock so that we're not carrying product for more than 2 or 3 days. It's then iced and frozen at -20, and then it's then a short hop cold chain from that facility into the Woolworths distribution centre in Midrand.
The other thing that I've noticed coming down to your plant here in Tulbagh is that you're now taking on Enerjade and not energy drinks,
Sports drinks.
Sports drinks.
Correct.
What exactly do sports drinks do, and why have you gone into that market?
Alex, our brand's about health and wellness, and we want to promote a healthy lifestyle. Part of that is getting out and exercising. And in that space, you want to be hydrated, so you want hydration, as in water. And then once you've had a good solid workout, you want to rehydrate. And so
Rehydrate.
So it's about hydration and then rehydration. And we developed that. We've recently relaunched that as THIRSTI Sport. It's in a gorgeous black bottle, and it's going really, really well in the marketplace. So really excited about it. It's got a lot of electrolytes in it. We've had amazing feedback. So
Where do you buy it?
and all the retailers.
Okay. Because at the moment I use these little sachets
Yes.
and it's quite a hassle to put them
Yeah.
together. And having tasted yours,
You
it
like
really, I like it big time. But let's get on to that counterfeit stuff.
Yes.
And here I have a family connection where we started off by buying our water from a local outlet in Hermanus because it was being filtered. Then we said, no, well, it'd be easier to filter it in the home. But listening to your guys here and the Bottled Water Association, we're making a mistake on both scores because there's no certification of that water. And how serious a problem is this?
Well, it's fundamentally important that people actually know what they're buying. When you buy bottled water with a Sanbois logo on it, which is the
Sanbois.
South African National Bottled Water Association, when you buy a product with that seal of approval on it, you can then be assured that it's been produced in a professionally managed facility where every aspect of health, hygiene, environmental, all of those issues have been considered, and it's well managed. It's a certification that should give the consumer peace. What's happened because of the water challenges that exist in South Africa is it's become a bit of a free-for-all, where people are just opening up refilling shops. There's no standard, there's no enforcement, and literally bottling product in these shops. There's no level of hygiene control, there's no certification, and then selling it like everybody else and calling it bottled water. So
and of course much cheaper.
Well, again, it's our fundamental point of difference is that we're a spring water, so we are mineral water. The product that comes through those types of refilling operations is municipal water, which has just been through a very basic filtration process in the back of the shop.
But people think, okay, so we all know, don't drink what's coming out of your tap because there's all kinds of chaos happening in the background and you might be getting yourself sick, as you do if you go to Tulbagh, for instance.
Yes.
You don't drink tap water. Everyone there knows you don't do that. So you don't do that. You move to the next level, which is I have to have filtered water. But the problem is that filtered water, from what I've now learnt, hasn't had any certification, no stamp of approval. How do you know if something has been checked to the stuff that's flooding the market?
Yeah, the easiest way is to look for that Sandboy logo on it. That's the stamp of approval, that's the seal of quality that has become the standard, and that's a voluntary organisation in South Africa. It's funded by the bottlers, and it was established because there is no real standard and no real enforcement. So it's ourselves holding ourselves to account to a certain standard. And we're affiliated to the European Water Bottlers Association. So the standards are really world-class standards that we hold ourselves to.
I've been around your plant for the second time, and I can support or endorse what you say about the different standards. Nobody's allowed, you can see no one's been spitting in this water, or certainly this water has been checked all the way through with your scientists and so on. How much does that add to the cost of getting this product to the consumer?
Look, it certainly does add to the cost, because we've, from the outside, one would think it's very easy just to take some water, put it in a bottle and sell it. But it's, as you've seen, when you come and go through that process, there's a massive amount of science, there's a massive amount of tech that's involved in doing it right at what is a relatively low cost in the marketplace in South Africa. But for us, we did it because we weren't prepared to risk our reputation in producing a product for human consumption that's possibly not on standard. So we've had that certification from the get-go, from the beginning. But there is certainly a cost. There's certainly a cost to do that.
In our conversations over the past day or so, what's been perhaps the most interesting was the way that you are growing in the informal market. Now, for many people in the BizNews tribe, well, people in the informal market, they don't really care. They'll just drink any damn thing. But actually, that's where you're having very, very sharp growth. And correct me, but it's almost as big now through the informal market as through the formal market. Gigi Alcock would say, of course, I always knew that. But most members of our tribe wouldn't.
Alec, the informal trade in this country is massive and growing, and it is now bigger than the formal trade. That's through primarily through the wholesalers, who then wholesale to the spaza shops, to the tuck shops, into the townships, to the street vendors, to and that's where the numbers are. That's where the numbers exist. And because of the overhead structures that exist in those channels, the prices are really, really competitive. So someone who's financially under pressure can buy product from the wholesalers at a lot less than you can through these major formal retailers who have massive overheads and rent, etc. In the big shopping centres. So it's about cost and accessibility,
and brand, surely.
Absolutely. The people in the informal sector are more brand conscious than the people in the formal sector, in my view.
And so they would also, those
Very
consumers are buying THIRSTI because they know it's not going to make me sick, for instance, rather than the story that happened in Hammanskraal, where I suppose we do have this scourge of politicians and water tankers, and we all know the story there.
Yeah. So again, it's remember we produce the water and the flavoured waters and the sports drinks. So it's about taste, it's about price, it's about brand recognition, and it's about how you have positioned your brand in that market and how it's perceived. And we've worked very hard in that space, and we will continue to build the brand with our people.
Rob, people are going to be watching this video a long time into the future, but as we sit here right now, we've just been through a really hectic weather period in the Western Cape where we're sitting now. And it doesn't, my research suggests it's not going to be the end of it. In fact, climate change is real and it's just getting worse. But have you done much work into that, and how might that be affecting your business and others?
Alec, we believe it's already started building in the Pacific, and this can be researched online and read up online. We've had 10 exceptionally wet seasons in the eastern half of South Africa where 80% of the people live. And whether we like it or not, we are headed for some much drier weather, and that's what the El Nino phenomenon does. It raises the sea temperature, and depending on how much the sea temperature goes up depends on how dry your usually wet season is, which is the summer in the eastern half of South Africa. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. The hotter it is and the drier it is, and the more water issues that exist, the more product that we produce gets sold in the market. So, but it is concerning because our water infrastructure is not where it should be, and when you have very wet seasons like that, it kind of keeps the pressure off the infrastructure. And when the next time we have, the last really dry patch that we had was at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. So we 10 years ago. That's why I say it's time and it's due. And we believe it's just around the corner. If not this year, if not this coming summer, definitely next summer we're going to see some very dry weather, very hot, very dry weather in South Africa. And for a country that's not prepared, and for a country with water infrastructure that's not where it should be, I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but I think there's some challenges on the way.
You know, it continues to add to the importance of the November the 4th vote. You've got to get the right people into your local government, into your local area. I'm very fortunate I live in Hermanus. We've got the right people running Hermanus, and the whole country, when it comes there, says, wow, this is South Africa. But everywhere in the country, depending on who gets elected on November the 4th, those people are going to have to deal with this issue that you've mentioned now.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, it's not something that can be fixed overnight, Alec. This is 30 years of decay that's now catching up. I spend a fair amount of time in Joburg, and whoever has that job is going to have their hands full, make no mistake.
To end off with a little bit on your entrepreneurial journey, THIRSTI it's a phenomenon, and I don't think even your enemies will take away from you the achievement that you've managed in this brand over in the last 11 years. But what drove you there, from what I understood, is that you're always looking for a point of difference.
Yes.
Now, how would you say you've taken that point of difference into your business culture?
Alec, we don't want to be like me too and do everything the same as everyone else. We want to find a point of difference, and then we want to focus on that point of difference, because I think that's what the market likes to see, and that's what the market rewards. Certainly the opportunities that we find in our business are generally driven through solving a problem, actually. So where we find a problem somewhere, we will engage in a solution that is business driven to fix that problem, and it inevitably ends up in creating another business for us. And there's so many examples over time of how we've got involved in certain businesses because of trying to actually just solve a problem.
Give me an example of a problem that you're solving at the moment.
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of how our beef business started. We weren't in the beef business at all, and we were in the forestry business. And your forestry, between all your forests, you have a lot of open areas, and these grasslands in summer when it's raining, they grow like mad, and you have to burn those grasslands as fire breaks in the winter. And the grass, when it comes to burning them in winter, that grass is so long that you actually can't safely manage it. And so about 12 or 15 years ago, we bought 100 cattle to try and manage the grass so that when it came to burning it in the winter, we could do it safely rather than try and burn this long grass and lose control of it. And then we thought, well, let's see if we can start breeding with these cattle. And so one cow became 2 and 2 became 4, and so the herd grows. But we started off using those cattle as lawnmowers just to manage the grass levels on our farm. And literally 3 or 4 years after that, the CEO of Woolworths was with me on the farm driving around and said, you know, what's going on there? What's happening there? And I explained the story I've just explained to you to him, and he said, but what you call lawnmowers, we call free-range grass-fed beef. Can we have all of your beef, please? And I said, absolutely. So in trying to solve a problem with grass fires on the farm by starting a beef herd, we inadvertently got to supply Woolworths with free-range grass-fed beef. And
how much has that grown?
It's grown dramatically over the last couple of years, to the point where we fully stocked on a few of the agri properties. So our beef business is a wonderful business.
And it's still grass-fed.
Yes.
And it also is a good place to end, because it shows, as much as the stick that Woolies has been taken, they really do live what they say. When they talk about organic, well, there's the Hoatson property with organic beef. We want it.
Correct. And again, as I said earlier, I can't speak for the other guy who unfortunately went out of business, but our experience with them has been completely the opposite.
Rob Hoatson, lovely to be here with you at your Cape Castle. I'm sure we'll be in your KZN Castle, the much bigger one, in the not too distant future.
Thank you for coming to visit. It's been amazing to have you.
It's been such a pleasure to be here. Rob Hoatson is the Chief Executive and founder of THIRSTI. I'm Alec Hogg from BizNews.com.